Welcome, Iggy. He's saluting Captain Lloris. You're on mute, mate.
You're on mute. You're on
mute.
Schoolboy error, Iggy.
All salute Lloris. Everybody's got to salute him.
Salute in the chat, guys. Are you saluting in the chat?
Shelfside boys, how are we? Brilliant
great,
debut,
mate.
guys. What a match to the debut, huh?
Absolutely. It was wonderful. That was
It
wonderful.
was
How
great.
did you
Listen,
find
guys,
it, though?
It was great watching you. It was great watching you guys. It was great listening to better than them sods at Sky Sports. Absolute useless. Absolute useless on the telly. Do you know what? At the end of the game, instead of praising Spurs, instead of bigging them up for that performance, especially that second half performance, what do? They're talking about Gerrard and how unlucky they Villa were in the first half. The usual blah, blah, blah. Not one little bit of praise. I had to switch them off and I had to come over to you lot again and say, let me listen to what these boys have got to say in the post-match. These lot were awful. Disgrace, Sky Sports. Disgrace. The whole commentary throughout was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Even more disgraceful than the referee's performance. Terrible, by the way.
Talk to us about that. How tell us what you feel about the referees' rules, because I was, to be honest, I'm gonna be harsh. I was disgusted with Graham Scott today.
It was terrible. Some of them challenges that were flying in. Yeah, you know what? I don't mind a good fully loaded tackles. I really don't. I like them 50-50s, but they've got to be 50-50s. They can't be 70-30s, smashing players on the floor and letting it get away with and say, oh, we're playing advantage. What are you talking about? The players on the floor.
Yeah.
And then it took one little barge from Romero to send Digne packing with his shoulder out of his socket. Shocking, mate. Shocking. Like the whole game through. I was really, really worried, boys, when I saw Harry Kane go down and touching his ankles. I thought, please, God, not now. Because I've always said, when we've chatted many times, boys, and we've said we are heavily relying on nobody, and I mean not losing a single player for the remaining games of this season, because I think our season completely rides on that. Yeah. And I'm pleased that hopefully Matt Doherty, we haven't lost him for too long, and everybody else is fine, because that's all I care about right now, that everybody's okay for the next one. But yeah, listen, guys, I'm actually a little bit more, believe it or not, I'm actually more calmer now than I was in a post-match. Honestly, I uploaded a post-match on our Tottenham away channel, and I was absolutely... Imagine me eating 20 of those packets on the tellers. That's where I was. I was in full trajectory, super duper hyper. So you guys...
Have the neighbours called the police?
Yeah.
I always said, Iggy, never upload a post-match
after eating Nutella biscuits.
After Nutella biscuits, and certainly after Spurs winning in such a way. We absolutely run riot in that second half. But I will say this, boys, where I've been critical of Lloris, where I was after the Newcastle game, and you boys know that.
Yep.
I have to say, do you know what? Salute Lloris today, because that first half performance, honestly, he bailed us out. Romero was putting some fires out tonight. This guy brought some he put some real fires out today.
Do you think,
brilliant,
Iggy,
brilliant.
Do you think if one or two of them chances had gone in, and that we would have been able to come back in that second half? Like, you know, I mean, I know it's ifs, buts, and maybes, but
it was 7 saves. He made 7 really top chance saves. You know, even if a couple had gone in, we would have been 2-1 down.
Do you know what? There's many times where Sonny has bailed us out. There's many times where Kane has bailed us out. Today, our keeper bails us out, because to win these sort of games, you need your goalkeeper. You need your goalkeeper to bail you out, and he did that today. We needed him. We needed everyone today, and he showed how much he still has to give. Yeah. For all the faults he may have, today, in no shot stopping, he was superb. Honestly, Romero was brilliant. Sonny was class. Absolute class he was. But you know what? Has to be said. Lloris stepped up today. Boy, did we need him. And you know what? And that was all dictated because the referee allowed them to do whatever they wanted to with those tackles, because otherwise there wouldn't have been any games. We had to be clever. We had to be smart. We absolutely, first 2 minutes, going ahead, scoring, getting a goal straight away. And straight away, we did exactly the same thing in the second half. Yeah. And we got into them again at 2-0. I thought, you know what? we're going to run right now. We're absolutely going to run right because they have to come forward and we're going to start picking them off. And in the end, it could have been 4-5-0, no, 6-0. It could have been more than that. And do you know what? And another thing I want to say, big up the Spurs fans because I heard them throughout the whole entire match singing away. Honestly, the Spurs fans away from home, at home they're brilliant, but away from home they are superb. Phenomenal, honestly. I heard the Gimme Gimmes, I heard Sonny's songs, I heard all of them. You could hear them through the screen. And Sky Sports, trust me, they tried to put that volume down, but even they couldn't succeed.
Yeah, they do that. They do that. So let's put Lloris aside. Let's sort of put the defence aside. What are your thoughts on our midfield, Iggy? I mean, listen, I'm not trying to denigrate them at all. I'm not going to say they played badly, but there was it wasn't quite that zip and verve that we've seen from Bentancur and Højbjerg over the last few games. Is it just a blip?
But I think they held their own. Do you know what? The biggest thing that at the moment, we are like a plane. Let me picture. We are like a real good, solid plane, powerful, strong. We are absolutely but we are flying without wings. Let me tell you that we are flying without wings. And what I mean by that, our wing backs are just not good enough. You can see the levels. We've got a real solid back three. We've got a real good two in the middle, and the three up front are brilliant. But they are now starting to show just how weak our wing backs are. And it's not their fault. I'm sure the guys are doing their best. I have no doubt, but you actually starting to see the levels because everyone is up their game. And yes, maybe Bentancur and Højbjerg weren't the best, but they were getting battered in that. Højbjerg, I mean, was getting clattered left, right, and centre in that game. And then when he gave it some back, he got a yellow card for dissent because it was ridiculous, guys. I've never seen such a one-way level of refereeing, and I thought, listen, it may have not been not pleasing on the eye with Bentancur and Højbjerg, but they held their own in there. And let's be honest, them two in the middle were on their own because they didn't really get a lot of support from the wing backs tucking in and stuff like that. And I thought the three at the back were brilliant, as with the keeper we mentioned, and the three up front. Second half, I mean. They were brilliant. You could see Kane would drop in the hole. As soon as he would go into midfield, Sonny behind is causing him. He knows he's got to be on the move. And whenever that happened, the Kulusevski in between that, they were brilliant. Listen, like I said, today it wasn't Bentancur and Højbjerg didn't need to be brilliant. They needed to be solid. They needed to protect the three. And they did that in a brilliant fashion. I still think they were really good, even though they wasn't as brilliant as they always are. But they were still really, really solid, man. They were putting a really big shift.
So Sonny gets his hat trick, and I
brilliant.
asked this.
It was brilliant today. Fantastic.
Well, I asked this earlier. Out of Son and Kane, if you had to pick one, who do you think is more likely? Oh, who would you think out of Son and Kane is going to end up as Spurs' top goal scorer with 7 games to go?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. That's a terrible question, boys. Listen, for Bobby, I say this for Bobster. I hope Kane gets it because he's got a bet on it.
That's true, he does.
But right now, Sonny is hitting real top form. I mean, he scoring on a real regular. Listen, do you know what? Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? As long as we get
interest.
top 4, who cares?
Yes, Iggy, yes, I'm loving it. Just for interest. He's going, no, Rez, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to decide what I want to do.
Rez, what matters is Kane and Son do everything possible in their power to make sure that we finish top 4. That's the only thing that matters.
Just the only reason I ask that is only because Sonny has overtaken his own record when it comes to goals. And he's never won a golden boot while Kane has been there. So it's just just seeing whether or not Sonny can do it.
Okay, all right. You know what? Push comes to shove. All right, let's do it. Sonny's going to be Spurs' top scorer. Sonny will, because I just think with the movement, because I'll tell you why, because Conte wants Kane to be dropping into that midfield area, and there's a clear sign that when he makes that move, Sonny has to attack the space that Kane leaves behind. So for that reason, I think he's going to be a lot more favourable in the chances that he gets to goal. And let's have it right. Sonny, in the last few games, he is clinical in front of goal. He's been brilliant. And he will keep on scoring. I think he will score more goals than Kane.
The follow-up question is, do you think he can get the Golden Boot this season? Do you think he can end up as the Premier League top goal scorer?
I know he can get it.
Fantastic.
I know he can get
Iggy.
it.
Fantastic.
I know.
Iggy.
No two ways about that.
Iggy, final question. I know where you're going. Top 4, yes or no?
Come on, man. Are you serious? You didn't ask me that question. Listen, I'll tell you something else. We will have top 4 wrapped up even before the North London derby.
Yes.
Straight.
Good
Loving
man.
that, Iggy.
Facts.
Brilliant.
And we're gonna let them come to our stadium. We're gonna let them see the lights. We're gonna let them see the fans waiting for them, and we're gonna kick them back out of the stadium and say, "Go back to South London, and don't ever come back here again."
Yes, Iggy.
Wonderful.
And I'll
stuff,
tell you
Iggy.
something else, Arsenal fans. If you're watching right here, you better stay off. You better stay off Twitter because Stelios will be coming for you lot. He is coming for you lot. Stay off. Go hide in the cave. Don't ever come back
Stelios
out.
is coming for you.
It's true, yeah.
Stelios will be coming for all you United fans who've given it the big end. Arsenal fans saying that Spurs are lucky. Yeah, we hear your fan shows. We're saying the Spurs are lucky with their fixtures and all of that. They're unlucky because they lost their players. Go away. Behave yourselves. In Conte we trust. In Conte we trust because if they ask themselves the real question, if they had to have any manager right now going for the top 4 out of Moyes, Arteta or Fraud-Teta, if you want to get Fraud-Teta, Moyes, whoever else you want, you would want Conte. Be honest with yourself and say you would want Conte.
They would kill.
And I'm sorry for
Conte.
Ragnick, and I forgot him as well. Ragnick, another fraudster. Conte all the way. In Conte we trust. We're going to make top 4, and next year, we're going to be singing under the Champions League floodlights.
Brilliant.
Brilliant, Iggy. Absolute pleasure
Take care,
as always,
guys.
mate.
You guys were absolutely fantastic. Shelf size boys, respect.
Thank you, Iggy.
Thanks, my
Big
friend.
up,
Take care,
mate. Come on,
guys.
you
All the
Take care of
Spurs.
best.
yourself.
And Spurs fans, in Conte we trust. Come on, you
Yeah,
Spurs.
Conte
Come on,
we
you
trust.
Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. It's